5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
There we are. It's the man in the flat cap, all the way from Yorkshire. Welcome along, Dan.
How are we doing? How is everybody? Hope everyone's well. How are we doing? How's that doing? To be fair, I bought this at Beamish up in Durham when I went there. It's a really nice place. If nobody's ever been, do go check it out because it's a proper step back in time. And
I can see that from the hat.
It is. Well, as you can see, I'm still there. Look at the brick walls.
Well, from your prison cell, I hope you're sat on a cushion. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm saying nothing, but that just kind of backs it up, really. Scott's in. Hi, Scott. How you doing? Welcome along, sir. We've got a couple of channels coming together here for our sins. One of those is Nate is in as well. Hi, Nate. How are you? Yeah, we did it a couple of weeks ago, and then why didn't we do it last week?
Someone was too busy topping up something that I can't get, which is a tan. I mean, yes, you do look like a bit of a bronze god.
Well, what can I say?
Yeah. Again, I've looked around the range and B&M, and you can buy bronze budders. So yeah,
well,
mate.
I think I've been very generous of you with your picture because you actually look more tan than you'll ever be.
I do. To be fair, mate, you actually do have a nice little sun-kissed glow about you, and I don't blame you for going back in 4 weeks.
No. And why not? Why not?
Not?
Yes, yeah. But yeah, welcome along to the Late Football Show, talking footy into the night. My best DJ voice on there. Welcome along to the smooth sounds. And it is wherever you are.
Just does things to me, Chris. It just does things. If you shut your eyes.
I have to say, the last time you did that, you actually sent me a message saying you got a stiffy on. So, and that was on the promise of seeing my white bits.
Guilty.
This is incest. We are very close. We are very close to incest here. But no, welcome along. It is, like I say, Late Football Show, Leicester Till I Die TV, along with Dan from Turfmoorhouse TV, a Leicester and Burnley channel. And we'll actually end up talking very, very little about either of the teams because we're here just to talk football. There's nothing better, is there?
Nothing better at all. What can you say? It's everything's happening in the world of football. It's getting to in the Championship, halfway mark in the EFL. 8 games time, we're looking at the halfway mark in the Premier League. Teams twisted and turning, managers on a constant merry-go-round. Lots and lots to talk about.
Indeed. And I have to say, football is the language of the world. When we're, I also, when I'm going on holiday, I don't like to wear football shirts because it's like typical Brit abroad, just give me an off-it hanky as well. Do you wear football shirts when you go on holiday?
Do you know what? I've only ever been abroad twice, and I haven't took any football shirts with me, just because I probably shit myself a little bit. But
But if you go on holiday in this country,
oh
would
yeah,
you
yeah,
wear?
100%,
Well,
100%. I
exactly.
don't
See
mind
what
it.
I mean? See what I mean? People would look at you and immediately think hooligan.
Well, I can understand it, but I think it shows I'm tame. I'm an old school fella.
You're old. You never went to school in your life. Don't try and kid us. We know. We know. Oh no, that wasn't what I wanted to do.
I was going to
You've
say
lost
we've
a
got a
lot of
surprise
weight.
guest. We've got a
You've lost
surprise
a lot
guest.
of weight.
I liked that.
I'm just trying to do it if I can. When I can't, no, I'll have to leave it as that. Your name will disappear, but we have got you going across the bottom. Ooh. Hello. Yeah, we are. Should we start? Should we talk football?
Let's do it.
I just came off a show. I've cleaned that up now. But I just came off a show. We're talking about Leicester at the weekend, where we had chants from the fans that you've probably read the stories that were xenophobic and death threats and what have you. And look, I don't condone any of that, and I with every other Leicester City channel, absolutely deplore that sort of attitude, and they're not proper fans. They're not proper fans. But I was asking, a question that actually Craig asked me, and he asked me to ask you. Oh, that's rather big, isn't it? He asked me, there you go. He asked me to ask you was when Burnley were going through all the trouble that you were, and you have, you were struggling and you're at the bottom of the league in the Premier League and you had a couple of relegations. Did you ever have any of that at your club?
Do you know what? In the company situation, no. Which was very, very surprising because we barely won a game. Everyone seemed to just accept, well, Vincent Kompany's at Burnley, so just let him do what he needs to do. If it don't work, it don't work. It's Vincent Kompany. And that annoyed me a little bit because any other manager would have been tarnished, put right under the telescope and said, he should be gone by Christmas. This shouldn't be, this isn't right. I think there's been a few sets of our fans that have said stuff about the board, but it's just been your typical stuff of, get out of our club, etc. The stuff that's normal. If it got too much, where they were saying things so derogatory that it starts becoming borderline, I forgot the word I was going to use now, but obviously when they start actually like tarnishing a person, why can't I speak? I keep forgetting the words. When they tarnish the person for who they are themselves as a human being, not the manager, and they start insulting their family and things like that, that's not on for me. I will hold my hand up. I've stood outside a turf moor and I have slagged Brian Laws when he came in after Owen Coyle, and I was like, "Get out! We don't want you. You're not good enough." But nothing along the lines of how it's been at Leicester, which has been a little bit, well, not even a little bit. It's been very, very toxic.
Oh, it has. It has. You prefer to just sort of turn your back on the ground, which is and I'm not saying that sarcastically. It's your way of protesting. I remember you doing that in Burnley. You can't. I mean, look, as a fan channel, as a social media site, I am here to
educate.
Oh no! Chance to be a fine thing. I'm here to praise.
Well, I didn't go to school, Chris, so I have to. I'm here for my lesson.
I go. I'm there to praise and there to sort of say congratulations when we do well, and I will criticise individuals. I will criticise John Rudkin for what he's done. I will criticise Top for what he's done. I might even say, get out of our club, sell, time to move on. Yeah. But there's a thin line, there's a distinct line that you do not cross. And calling our owner, whose dad died at our club, and that still shouldn't make any difference. And then calling them, it's like, do you remember back when Nigel Pearson got sacked, and some of the young players were with Thai prostitutes and calling them words I'm not going to repeat here, but typical, name calling of Asian women, and and threatening death. That is to my mind, that's just not football.
No, it's not. It takes everything away from football. This is why we always say as fans, keep politics and things like that away from football itself. You've just said it there, that we're all entitled, especially online. That's where we project our voice. That's where people tune in and they listen to that because they want to see how we think, how we see it. And they may not always agree, and that's fine. Like I say, everyone's got their own opinion. But I was skeptical and very, very on it when Mark Garlick was our chairman, and he wouldn't literally give you a bat of his Freddo out of his pocket because he was a tart arse. But that's as far as I'd go with it. I'd say he was a tart arse, but then think about it down the years. Yeah, he did well at keeping us on a shoestring budget, but you have to evolve with football. If he was still here now, we'd have essentially folded. So, we all say things. I said stuff this weekend. I said, Scott Parker, yeah, you tool. What are you playing at? Like, this is on you. You made substitutions like you were playing in a cup game against a League Two side, swapping, the players for. It's like they were giving him game time. I said, this one is on you.
Mm.
Obviously, there were a couple more Fs and Jeffs in there saying, this shit, blah blah blah, but. You just don't start getting down the, personal route. It's too much. And it's not just that. All it takes is one silly mistake, one silly word to come out your mouth, and that costs you as a supporter potentially for the rest of your life. Do not do it to yourself.
No. And also, as well, I'm sure if they ask Swansea for the CCTV camera footage, they'll be able to see who they are. Kate is in. Hello, Chris. Hello, Peaky Blinder. And Scott says you look like a hooligan in your Peaky Blinder outfit. I thought you'd like it, Kate, being from Yorkshire. That would be a thing for you. But yeah, I just think.
You're not hearing that, Chris.
Kate, sorry. I thought Kate had jumped on the camera then. Sorry.
Oh, my backdrop's gone. This is what happens when you start pissing around with shit. I'm buggered now. Buggered myself.
I thought your wall had fallen down.
Get me washing back on. There we are.
Yeah, you still never washed that shit out. Can I just say,
I did listen to you though from last week, Chris. I haven't got the Coventry coloured shirt in the background, so I did listen to you.
You did. You can't tell what it is now because you just fell the screen. But look, no, I wonder if they would have done that if we'd been at home.
Yeah,
where there's more of a, and I don't want to see fans fighting amongst themselves. We have seen that at clubs,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm just. It's just embarrassing. These are the same people that when we were discussing, when I remember I had a Wolves fan who fair dues to came on to apologise because at a match he'd done the helicopter.
Yeah, I remember that.
That. And these are the sort of people that would be going mad at him, and yet here they are doing this. But I'm
the perfect person to talk to about it because how much Burnley have had a bad rap due to one or two insensitive idiots. Flying that banner over Manchester City saying White Lives Matter and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, whatever your beliefs are is your beliefs. What you do, what you want to do. No one's going to judge you for that. But if you're going to throw that in people's faces and make an absolute tit of yourself, not just that, but it puts the club in a bad light. We've had players not want to come to Burnley due to the race riots that happened down Duke Bar. I know people are like, "What's he on about? What's Duke Bar?" Trust me,
Oh, I remember Duke Bar.
it's as rough as sandpaper, mate.
It
It's
is, but
bad.
there's also an extremely nice. Well, there used to be, and I've not been in Burnley now for sort of 20 odd years, but there used to be a really, really nice kebab shop up there as well.
Now that's all there is. Kebab shop, Polska shop, kebab shop, curry house, smash burgers.
Didn't there used to be some very nice ladies that worked in that area as well?
I won't say nice.
I was being polite.
Well, after the recent topic we just said, yeah, I don't blame you. But yes, the ladies of the night are always out there, giving the people of Burnley a fine wave from the sidelines.
Yes, as they do, as they do. Talking of which, hi Kate again. Yeah, it looks like you look like a Butch Dingle now. Butch? Are you sure?
That coming from Mandy Dingle over there.
Look, I started. Oh, it's going to be fun in your house tonight, isn't it? I started by putting this up at the start. 'Tis
Hi,
the
Tom.
season. Yes. Again. I do feel, I mean, Alan Sheehan, ex-Leicester player, just got sacked by Swansea. He didn't leave in nice circumstances. I feel like now this is because you've got the January window coming up. Obviously, in January, I'd work that one out myself.
Oh, clever!
But if you're going to change your manager, you want to make that change pre that window.
Yeah,
because you want the guy to come in and go. To be honest with you, sack now, because then that manager will come in, have a look, and go. He's got enough games to go. He's shit. He's okay. We'll keep him. And then it says, obviously, it's a club with money. You've got time to bring players in, and the players in. I mean, how many clubs sack a manager at the end of the transfer window?
It's not something that happens. They're not usually given a window and then, let's see what happens going forward. You only give a manager a window if you have a huge amount of this person's the man who's going to be able to change our fortunes with the right investment, with the right players. We believe this guy can turn our fortunes around. So, it's difficult because I think he's been there before on an interim basis. If I'm not mistaken, I think he'd been there once or twice before getting the job permanently. But when this is Swansea's worst position since relegation from the Premier League, something's got to be looked at. And with Swansea's recent investment from Luka Modric, Snoop Dogg, and all these people that now sticking their nose into football, their ambitions are a lot higher, and this is probably why, with the window in mind, that's what they're hoping to achieve: get someone in who can bring in a decent caliber of player.
Indeed. But look, I mean, he's been there just 6 months.
Yeah,
as the permanent manager, like you say, I think he was there a bit before that. He's overseen just 4 league wins from the Swans' opening 15 matches of the season, and one of those he lost to Leicester, so they must be bad. But when you look, is 6 months long enough to really make a difference in any job? We had, as you know, I worked in the sales team as a team leader. I would be expected to be given more than 6 months to turn things around.
Yeah, you can't. How many people go through dating and not end up in a relationship for a year because they fancy dating, see how it works for a year beforehand. I'm not saying that that's how football should work, or they should be meeting up for drinks or chilling out on Tinder. But these managers, the thing is, I think the hierarchy see it as it's not just 6 months worth of football matches. It's you have a core group of players. You've got your captain and your highly influential players that will go to the boardroom and say, don't don't understand really what's going on here. And there is an element of player power. There will be, but 6 months, it isn't enough. It isn't enough. You can't essentially learn a job. I get offered a machinist job tomorrow, and they're expecting me to know that machine inside and out within 6 months. Every part of it, if it breaks down, I know how to fix it. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, especially if you're working on an old machine, like when I come on this channel. So, like I said, working an old machine, Chris.
No, but it is true. I mean, look, as fans, we expect instant results. We expect instant, and we expect that when you bring a new manager in, that manager is actually going to suddenly turn into Pep Guardiola and win every game for the rest of the season. Sometimes it happens. It happened with Sheffield United that time when they went from bottom on Forest. Sorry, Steve Cooper took them from the bottom three up to the playoffs and into the Premier League. So it does happen, but very, very rarely. I mean, and again, just looking at Leicester as the example, this manager's come in, and I'm calling for his head in a way not because of, and it's not his fault, and that's the thing, but he's not had the money to bring people in.
Yeah.
People that he's brought in are loanees. One of them very, very nice from Burnley, of course. Unfortunately, he's now injured. He's done his hamstring. But obviously, that's why you loaned him out, because if you always, if you're going to get an injury after a big injury, do it before we start playing you again.
Yeah.
So he's had to work with what he's got. We sold £80 million worth of players. I nearly said talent then. But I can't say that. But, so we sold the best of the shit. So he's left with the rest of the shit. And we expect him to be able to be up there challenging for but they've also got to accept that they've got to do something, because like with Marty, he's playing the same system that Rude lost 17 games playing with last season. And you're looking and thinking, you've got the same players, you got rid of the best ones, and you're still trying to play a system that didn't work last season. So, but you want to see that manager coming in, but you've got to give them time. Marty is not going to change things round in half a season.
No, 100%. That's why managers want a 2-year guaranteed contract, because they know full well that if they do decide to hire and fire, like a lot of clubs do now, they've got that reassurance of having a bit of financial stability behind them. But the hardest part is with management, you've got to have a lot of key set of skills, and you've got to have that man management. You've got to be able to be a voice of reason, almost like a father figure, to help, talk these players through situations off the field and things like that. You can't be walking in somewhere that's already got people swanning about. Take Spurs, for instance, the other week. I think they got beat, or they drew with Manchester United, didn't they? 2-2. Players, 2 of them didn't bother walking around the pitch to say, to clap the fans. And Thomas Frank is like, get yourselves over there. Like, fuck off.
Oh, that's going to be it. That's going to be a topic we're going to come on to in a bit.
But that's what I mean, though. This is what I mean. There's a lot of players who just think that, well, I'm the one here helping you out, mate. But it's like, yeah, but look at you. You're not really helping me out. You're not really working with me. You're working against me. And if anything, how's that going to go for you?
And coming from a club like Leicester, where Jamie Vardy, if I'm honest, probably had a lot of player power. And, now whether he actually got rid of a couple of managers or not, other players would say that he didn't. But there is too much player power. I feel like owners, and I said this with Ruud van Nistelrooy and Top, he was probably on his knees begging him to come to Leicester, I have to be careful what I say these days, on his knees, begging him to come to Leicester because he's this, he's Ruud van Nistelrooy, so rude and all this. And yet, I know it's easy to sack one manager than 11 players, but I do feel that some owners are like that with the players. Top would listen to Jamie because it's Jamie Vardy. He scored 11 and 11. He won the Premier League with us over a manager. And hang on, but you put your manager in charge. You can't put a manager in charge and then pull the carpet from under his feet and start taking the advice of players.
I think that's why it worries me that, I didn't know how it was going to go when we had a manager under Vincent Kompany. Under Scott Parker, we have a head coach, which essentially means, yes, Scott Parker does have a say in the odd thing. But then again, behind the scenes, it's them going, oh, well, we think this guy's going to improve you. What do you think? I think our club, from what I know personally, our club is very open and treat him like a manager in that sense that they say, oh, we've got a couple of options here. What do you prefer? There was a certain keeper that we were linked with bringing to Burnley, which it was out there. I think it was Ortega from Manchester City. He was like, I don't want to go to Burnley. And Parker's like, well, I don't want him either. I'm looking at Dubravka at Newcastle. And the club went, okay, fair enough. If that's who you want, that's who we'll try and get. And they did. I think there's different roles that chairman need to tread carefully as well. Because like you've got at your place now, people are starting to question the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And is that because of everything they know in terms of, we said it when, you were going through the managerial debate, Chris, and I said, someone like Sean Dyche will come in, he'll weed out the shit, and he'll also stop all that, right, I'm not having this nonsense of you're better than him or he's better than you. You're all here to do a job together. And if you don't click, then it doesn't work. People have to get the basics right. A lot of people just try to come in and play this fancy bullshit football. I used to think, yeah, brilliant. It's so nice to watch, but it's a results business, for God's sake.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me on to formations. That's a show on itself. And I am going to be coming back to your Parker Company discussion because that's something that has come up before on my channel. But let's just say to everybody, you're watching two channels here. Please, as Scott said before, please do get over from my channel to @turfmoorhouse TV and give
likewise
that
the other way.
And yet, if you're a Burnley fan, and look, you've got to love me. I lived in Burnley for 25 years. Get over to LPID.
You did work at Blackburn, though, people. You did work at Blackburn.
Oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. We're all allowed mistakes in our life.
We do. I only have to ask my mum.
Yeah, well, exactly. I wish I hadn't sent her that sperm donation now. She said I can do it by post, so I came in a jiffy.
Hey.
Anyway, you don't know the size. I mean, I did actually, guys, for my sins, 6 months, and I thought I would love it. It'd be like an alcoholic working in a pub. They were a complete bunch of twats, if I'm honest with you, completely up their own horses. But if you ever drove back from Blackburn to Burnley after a football match, you'd have seen a little silver car on the motorway with one adult and two children in there, taking off their Blackburn Rover shirts and trying to put something non-Blackburn on instead. But yeah, look, getting back to managers. I mean, these are the people that have been sacked so far this season. Yep. So, in the Premier League, Nuno Espirito Santo, sacked by Nottingham Forest, 9th of September, only just about a month into the season. Graham Potter, sacked by West Ham, 27th of September. Oh, what a shame. and Postecoglou sacked by Nottingham Forest, who had just sort of 30 odd days before that, sacked Nuno Espirito Santo. And then, of course, we've got the Wolves sacking as well. What's the guy called? I can't remember what he's called.
Vitor Pereira.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you said that. Then so that's 4 managers, albeit at 3 clubs already. Championship managers, we had Ruben Selles, sacked by Sheffield United. Paolo Pezzolano, surprise, surprise, sacked by Watford. Then League One, you had Mike Dodds at Wycombe Wanderers, Steve Bruce at Blackpool, Matt Bloomfield at Luton Town, Darren Ferguson at Peterborough United for about the 24th time. And then Noel Hunt by Reading. In League Two, Michael Flynn sacked by Cheltenham Town. Now, funnily enough, this was a bit of an older story. Next Premier League manager to leave was Vitor Pereira, 2-1 on. Who knew? But I lost count of that. That's probably about 15 or something, and we are literally August, September, October, November, 4 months, not even halfway through the season. But like I say, is this the season when owners get jittery?
Yeah, it's a tough one between the owners, the managers, and the players. We're looking at a World Cup year, so players are going to want to perform, and then at the clubs that they're at, if they haven't had a money move like some of the players have, are they going to be bothered to play if the rest of the team aren't performing? It's so vicious. And like I say, Postecoglou didn't really get a sniff at Nottingham Forest. What did he do? Go in there, say hi, and then it reminds you of that meme of The Simpsons where, the grandpa walks in, puts his coat down, spins around, picks his coat back up and walks back out.
Yeah.
That's, the merry-go-round is ridiculous. Nothing can be done in so many months.
But it's the same managers that are getting sacked
and getting jobs
are being taken on for these jobs. So let me come to you with this one, young Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Scott Parker.
Correct.
We laughed at Burnley.
Yep.
We did. And I'll hold my hand up. I did say thank you for taking one for the team, for the other 91 clubs, and taking him on. But my God, he and I was going to say I was totally wrong, did a fantastic job for you. But alongside Daniel Parker, he doesn't have the best record in the Premier League. Now, yes, he's got you up. I guess he's on probably about a 3-year contract, so he's probably got a year and a half still left to go, a year and 3/4 left to go. Is he going to still be here in a year and 3/4? I mean, look, you sat in 17th on goal difference above West Ham. Obviously, it didn't help you at the weekend. But, yes, you can look back now and go, it was the right decision. But was it a short-term decision? Because, yes, you did well and you thought he'd get you up. But kind of, is there not a bit of either thinking he isn't going to keep us up?
There wasn't. A head and a heart situation. I even said when he came in, is this going to be a manager that comes in, gets us up, and then we look at somebody more, established who's going to potentially do something like that? I always try to look back to what Mourinho said, that if he ever has another job in the Premier League, it's going to be a bottom-end Premier League side to see what he can do, and test himself. Now, I'm not saying that should be something that Burnley do, and I'm not trying to ride a fucking unicorn here. I'm trying to put it as it is.
Depending where the horn is, of course.
It's all like the camel. I like it. But yeah, it's a contrast because Daniel Parker and Scott Parker, obviously are currently in the same boat. But Leeds seem to think that they are. I don't know. We're Tesco, they're Waitrose. That's what they sort of think they're at. And it pisses me off. I mean, they got promoted, and instead of actually enjoying it and celebrating it, we might be getting rid of Farker, and they were happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He was linked with leaving
And it's like,
before he
what are
even.
you going on about? Why bite the hand that feeds you? Scott Parker, I believe, like I said before, we aren't a hire and fire club. Yes, he's going to make some questionable decisions. All managers do. You know, it's a learning curve every single game week. But I think he'll still be here at the end of the season. I still think he'll be here, you know, whether we go down or stay up. I think if we stay up and potentially we're looking at an Ange, you know, sort of stitch where 6-7 games in, we are a bit screwed, then maybe they'll start to think we're going to have to potentially look at moving on.
Yeah. Prashant, hi, enjoy movie night. I take it it's with your other half. So enjoy it. Hope you got a popcorn to share. And armchairs in, Farker back on the sacking list indeed. I was actually, funnily enough, watching the Nottingham Forest Leeds game, and I was sat with two Leeds fans, a Nottingham Forest fan, and a Derby fan, also a Leicester fan as well.
Sounds like the start of a shit joke, Chris.
Yeah, I know.
There's a Leicester fan, a Derby fan, and a Leeds.
Yeah. And I was talking to one of the Leeds fans, and I said, I mean, they went 1-0 up, and of course they lost 3-1. And I said, is this the end for Farker? And he was saying, I can't see what else we can do. You know, they've got Red Bull coming in and backing them. You know, they've got, you know, they're not in any PSR trouble, so they've got the money to spend. And Farker has not got a good position, you know, history. Now, let's be honest, you're 11 games in, you're 17th, Leeds are 16th. That is probably what you would take that to come the end of the season.
It's 10 million times better than what it has been for promoted sides in the last 2 to 3 years. So
Thank you very
cannot
much for
rumble.
reminding me. That's very decent of you. But the problem is, and I think this is what's making both of your teams look bad at the moment, is the fact that Sunderland are sat in fourth.
But this is what I mean. You know, Regis Labrie was an unknown quantity. A lot of fans were calling for his head at Sunderland halfway through the season when, you know, results were mismatched. They were drawing a lot of games. They were just lingering and clinging on to the playoffs. And everyone's wondering, well, they're not going to rip. I think if you ask the majority of people where they put Sunderland at the beginning of the season, it was either rock bottom or at least in that 3 bracket. Nobody expected Sunderland to do this. And you know what? We've beat them already. We've beaten once this year. Brilliant. You know, we've contributed to one of the very few losses they've got.
One of 2, in fact. Oh, yeah. It's all lost 2, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, you know, people love an underdog story. Why not? Why not upset the apple cart? This is what I mean, though. Regis Labrie has got, and I think we were saying it as well the other day, they've got some big money backers there at Sunderland as well. So Leeds fans, I can understand Leeds, right? Because they're saying, well, we've got Red Bull. We're Leeds. We're the almighty Leeds. We basically, if we mention football, we are football. Shut up, tossers. They just, if that's what the mentality is, then go and do what your mentality says. You know what? Be Billy Big Bollocks. Make those big calls. Chuck Farker out the door. Announce it like a substitution. Replacing Daniel Farker is blah, blah, blah. R5 them up way into their office. You know, if that's how big it is, though, Chris, you know, like I say, we're small fish in a big pond, and we won't forget that. We won't forget that we've had to build. You know, we haven't had. Yeah, Alan Pace has got some money, and we've had a bit of investment, but who hasn't? You know, who hasn't?
Years and years ago, teams came up from the second tier and would surprise. You know, and we came up under Martin O'Neill. We won the League Cup in our first season of coming up. Blackpool, you know, we sacked Ian Holloway because he got us relegated, although I think Pep Guardiola would have got us relegated with that squad at that time. But he went to Blackpool, won the playoffs, and at one point they were sat top of the Premier League because these teams that were coming up, they were how do we play them? They're playing a different sort of football. But the teams that are all coming up, they're playing 4-2-3-1, the same as us. We know how to handle that. I mean, well done, Sunderland, because you're showing how shit Leicester, Southampton, and Ipswich were last season. But it's amazing how clubs think and owners think. Like, I mean, let's say, for example, you sat Potter. Sorry, you sat Potter. You sat Parker, and then you think, I know who we can get in. Russell Martin. He's had Premier League. Exactly, he's had Premier League, but he will get another job somewhere. And it's like, how? But this, I honestly think now is the time when they are starting. I think owners are starting to look at it and go, is this the guy to take us through? I mean,
Chris,
the thing
look at Forest. Look at Forest, right? If Nuno was still there, right? But if Nuno was still there doing the job that he did to get them where they were, brilliant, commended for his ability. Now that Sean Dyche is there, what they're going to be saying? Yeah, but they've got themselves out of it playing boring defensive football. They were playing boring defensive football under Nuno, but because it's a fancy name at the helm, it's all of a sudden, there's this giant aura, this light behind him. And these managers like that Sam Allardyce, Pardew, etc., and stuff like that, they're all like, it's like they're all falling off a dying line.
I was watching, I'm obsessed with TikTok. I've said to you this before. To me, the TikTok is my new toilet reading of choice. Before, we used to go in with a copy of The Sun or whatever it was and open it and read it. Now it's TikTok. And it was showing a clip from Talk Sport where they were interviewing Steve Bruce. He actually got interviewed for the England job.
Sorry, who? Who did?
Steve Bruce.
When?
Well, he didn't get it, obviously. And he got the phone call afterwards, and it went to Sam Allardyce. Could you imagine Steve Bruce actually getting an interview?
Oh, my God. I'd rather have had Fiona Bruce.
Wouldn't we all? But I mean, you nearly spat your drink out then. But it is it's the same managerial merry-go-round all the time. But like I say, now managers have to decide to stick or twist. Look, Marty, I think Jordan James saved Marty's job on Saturday.
Yep.
It's funny that the fans that were shouting for one guy to be killed and was criticising the ethnicity of our owner was suddenly singing "We Love You, Leicester" at the end because he managed to win. There we go. That's fickle fans for you. But do we stick with Marty? And if we do, we've got to stick with him till the end of the season. If we don't, and the only reason why not is because he won't try anything new. He sticks with the same, like I say, the same formation that we lost 17 games with last season. But now is the time when Top has to make that decision. This is decision season, if you like, decision month for me. Because if he's going to replace him, I want a new manager to come in, that new manager to have 4 or 5 games to assess the players, and then have the transfer window.
Exactly.
Doesn't make fucking much difference for Leicester, but yeah. So I just think it's a season, like you say. Okay, let me come straight at you with this question then.
Go on.
At the end of the season, have the fans haven't saved Marty after that disgusting performance by some of the. I can't describe them as fans. The wankers that were at the stadium the other night. Let me ask you this question: the end of the season, whether you are 17th or 18th, is Scott Parker still going to be in a job?
Yes.
Fair enough. Because I would turn around and say to you, exactly the same with Marty. Probably because we couldn't afford to pay him off because of the PS4 troubles. And we're hearing rumours that it was not so far off us hearing what that's going to be. But yeah,
let's not forget though, Chris. You can't. We had some up and downs with Dash, and a lot of fans were calling for his head. When we go on like 6 games and we'd lose, and we're like, nah, he can turn it around, and he did. The season after, we achieved European football. And these things happen. Look at yourselves. The Great Escape season after, boom, you're lifting a bloody trophy. It's a trophy that nobody of our sort of caliber, level of club, expect to be lifting, unless it's on a fucking events day.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Armchair. I see what you get now. By chanting what they did, has that stopped the board from making that decision? It's a very good point, that, because I made the point. I did a show earlier, Fox's Forum. Go and check it out, guys, if you are Leicester fans, because that was talking all about the chanting, and that was the theme of the show. And I actually made the point: is this going to have the opposite effect to what they want? So no, I see what you get now, Armchair. And it is a very, very good point. I think Marty will still be there at the end of the season. Again, even if we go down, the points deduction is winging its way towards us. It will leave us in a very precarious situation with what it's going to be. But you can't expect a guy to come in and come in and buy a car with 3 wheels, and then expect within, until you get a 4th wheel, expect that car's going to be doing well. But let me, I think that's one of yours, isn't it?
Guessing so.
Looks like one of yours.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Welcome along to anybody who is watching on Turfmoorhouse TV, and of course anybody who's also watching on Leicester Till I Die TV as well. I can see Brendan Rodgers at Leeds, says Armchair. Do you know what? This is going to cause arguments, and this isn't part of the discussion, but I'm just going to put that out there. If Marty was to go, I wouldn't actually mind Brendan back. I mean, there's a lot of people saying, he ruined this and he ruined that. Had we backed him and given him the rebuild when he wanted, I don't think we'd be in the Championship now. But going on, I've had this discussion with a gentleman called Michael on my channel, because he says, "Oh, Marty's not a manager; he's a head coach, and a head coach doesn't do this, and a manager does that." Now, I have been, I've been a manager of a sales team.
Yeah,
I left. Went to another job, didn't work out, actually came back to the same company. I ended up being given my job back as team leader. There was absolutely no difference in what I did as a team leader and what I did as a department manager. It was literally just the letters in the title, that's all it was. Now, he says, yeah, but a head coach doesn't pick the players that he wants to. But of course he does. You're not going to give, to my mind, any head coach, you're just going to put players on him. I mean, no, probably Chelsea did with Potter. But generally speaking, if you're a manager and you're worth your salt, and if you're a head coach and you're worth your salt, you are not going to say, "Oh yeah, you just give me the players." I do. You've given me a striker, great. I've got 4 strikers at the club. I've only got 1 keeper. Brilliant. Thanks for that striker, man. He's not going to. To my mind, you are going to. I don't think there's any difference, but you confirmed to me otherwise.
Yeah, end of the day, I mean, Bill, I'll fire away if that's what you want to do, mate. Ask away. That's what the chat's there for. But yeah, the head coach or manager still has to do the mundane stuff. They have to be out and present watching the squad train to be able to get an analysis, a self-analysis on who he thinks he should. Again, it leads me on to who he should pick for team selection. You are going to get some notorious hierarchy people that could say, really? Like, I think we need to see a bit more of this person. It's like, if you're a strong-minded manager or head coach, you would still go in there with the mentality of, do you want me to get the best out of this team and players, or are you going to call the shots? Because if so, I'll sit upstairs and you come down here. If I was a manager, I'd probably say something like that, or a head coach. You look back in the day, managers ran the club.
When I was a man, when I was a boy,
It's true though, weren't it?
lived in a cardboard box on the M65.
They ran it from top to bottom. All they do is talk to the chairman when they needed to talk to them. Oh, we're going to need another keeper. We're running a bit short or whatever. But then, you sort of like these people now. Again, you said it there. You're going to come to you and go, look, you've asked us to look at a left back. Here is A, B, C, D, and E. In which priority order would you like us to look at it? It's them that are doing the work for you instead of you going, well, I want this person, I want that person. Which sometimes we've seen managers get it wrong and players not work out.
Even Fergie got it wrong.
Well, yeah, I agree. So I don't know. There's a fine line between manager and head coach. I know at Burnley there's not much difference, and Alan Pearce has said that Scott Parker's got free roam to do whatever he likes. He's not given us any reason to doubt him.
You can't sack a head coach by saying the team was shit when he hasn't bought any of the players in himself.
Yeah. If it's a case of, well, I've bought the players, you've got to get a tune out of them. Like I said, that's probably what we saw with Marinakis and Ange. Oh, well, I'm bringing my mate in because my mate's going to do wonders. Yeah, of course he will.
Yes.
These people need to realise that there's a lot at stake for a manager, for a head coach. That's a question I'd love to ask someone that's a head coach and a manager. How do you feel? How would you feel as a manager? Your position would be if you was to be called a head coach, other than a gaffer.
Yes.
And vice versa. How would you like to be a manager more than a head coach? And if you can you tell me what the difference is?
Yeah. Interestingly, before we move on from managers, next manager odds to be sacked in the Premier League. In first place, Daniel Farke, 1-2 on. In second place, wow, come from nowhere, Eddie Howe at 6-1. He's struggling. I saw them against Brentford, and they did not impress me at all.
We've got them twice in December. I don't know how that's worked out, but we played them on the 6th of December and the last day of December as well. It's like,
Third at 8-1 is Scott Parker.
I can't see that. I think that's just they put in names in there because it's around that arse end at table. It
is, yeah. I can see the first two. I've got to say,
a way of making money.
Yeah. Fourth at 10-1, Marco Silva at Fulham. Can't see that either.
I can actually.
Go on then.
I don't know. This Fulham are almost like a Rotherham of the Championship. They always seem to be in there. I know they're in League One currently, but when you look at the Championship, they always seem to be up there and thereabouts.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get with Marco Silva. We could be looking at a similar situation. Do you remember with Iriola? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the West Ham keeper there. But Iriola at Bournemouth.
I thought you were talking about something else. We won't go into it.
But yeah, I'm just getting abreast of the situation,
That's
Chris.
all right. You made me titter. I think you boobed, but do carry on.
I can't help it. These shows, they do put a smile on my face.
I give you a stiffy. Armchair said there, just a sidetrack bit now, I've put you off. Brendan would have the same problems at Leicester that he's had at Celtic with no money, etc. He would. He would.
Yeah.
He has played in this league, obviously, we're funny enough with Swansea. And I'm not saying that I would want him because I don't want Marty to go. As much as I go mad in the post-match reaction, that is the idea. That is, it is an instant reaction to what I've just seen for 100 odd minutes. But yeah, I just I still want Marty to stay. 12-1. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say to Bilal's comment in the chat there. This is what we found with a lot of managers. Eddie Howe doing well at Champions League level, but struggling in the Premier League. It happens.
Ranieri. I mean, I know you can say that he won us the Premier League trophy, which for any non-Leicester fans is just there. Hey,
yeah. Chris robbed it.
Here's what you could have won.
It's true though, in terms of that when you all of a sudden you can reach those heights, people tend to think that you can juggle both the Premier League and the Champions League, or Europe and the Premier League, and it's difficult, especially when you're only allowed a 25-man squad. You've got to then try and juggle keeping them fit. You're away in London 1 minute, midweek you're in, I don't know, Budapest, and on the Saturday you're back in Burnley, etc. And then
that's a bad thought for the weekend.
It declined as I went along, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
But what I mean is like you've got to also have that rotation of the squad, so that affects the squad cohesion. If you're just playing Premier League games,
well, I can say, look at Ranieri. Won the Premier League, only having the Premier League to worry about. The next season, he was doing absolutely brilliant in Champions League. Got a 17th in the Premier League at the time of his sacking. Talking of sacking, at 12-1, and you mentioned him earlier, Arne Slot.
Yeah. I can't see it happening, but again, I think it does need to be mentioned. It does need to be mentioned. He's had a war chest. There's 2 players in there that he spent over 100 million on. Now, I think Florian Wirtz will come good for Liverpool. However, Alexander Ballsack, or whatever you want to call him, right, is an absolute mare. Or Alexander Isaka shit, whichever. He's been poor. He's been poor. He doesn't look interested in games. This is a guy who's basically run amok for Liverpool, for Newcastle, giving it I'm bigger than this club now.
Yeah.
And he's fallen flat on his face. Or
how many times does that happen with a lot of players, though? I mean, Fernando Torres, look at what he was doing at Liverpool. And all right, I know he won the Champions League for Chelsea. I mean, if you're going to score 1 goal all season, that's the goal you want to score, isn't it? But
it is.
Let's be honest with you, he was shit at Chelsea. But what was he doing there? Can I just say, I don't know, is Katie still in the chat? Because I want to check that Kate's all right. Because I'm a bit worried that your house is subsiding.
Is it?
Well, the bricks aren't. There's a bit of a gap between the bricks.
Fuck off, Chris. Don't buy that. If anyone tips from this channel, since it's so late, is don't start looking online and ordering wallpaper from B&M, right? Because as you can see from those two, they sort of match up. Look, like there, the seams match up. Everywhere else,
It's just that one. Did you find that one that matched up and then just everything else?
it wouldn't have been too bad. You know what? I think I would have done a better job if I'd have cut every single sort of like brick piece out and tried to just put it in separately. I'd have gone through a shit ton of paste.
Yeah,
but,
well, yeah.
but at least it would have looked all right.
Armchair, again, make a good point there. We'll have to get you on sometime, Armchair. Arnie and Ranieri both won the league with previous managers' squads.
Yes.
I agree with what you're saying there, Armchair. Again, both of them have made a few additions, not vast majority. Would we have won the league if we hadn't signed Kante? You know, that's the big one. But if the squads were so good, why didn't Klopp win it in his final year, and why didn't Nigel Pearson do better than only just keeping us up? Those are the questions. But look, we're going to move on from managers because I want to just I don't know if you've seen this. 5 things fans would change. There was this live question and answer thing on the BBC. And after asking players, pundits, and referees what changes they would make to reinvent football, we open the debate up to you, says the BBC. We open the floor for fans to imagine a world in which they could rip up the rule book and start again. We wish. We wish, we wish. Here are the top 5 talking points, followed by an assessment of former Premier League referee Chris Foy and BBC Sports football writer correspondent Dale Johnson. Thank God they got the right ex-referee in there. All I'm saying. So, ditch marginal offside. Make it clear and obvious.
I mean, we all grew up with the striker gets the benefit of the doubt at times. I mean, unless it's, you know, I don't know. I don't know. With the way the game's gone, and, you know, we had a situation at Manchester United where the toe of the boot is out by this much, and yet Lyle Foster's arm is out by, I don't even know, I'm fucking kung fu right now. But his hand's out by this much. Now, his hand can't be classed as scoring. You know, it's not a body part you can score with, so technically should not have been offside. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's more to do with consistency. That's, for me, if the way football is going. And I've got to say, I commend Chris Foy. I actually did go. He was recently at Burnley, and I sat down with, there was him and people from the Premier League, and we actually went through how VAR works. It was good though. It was actually quite informative. It showed us how it worked. You know, all the audio, the different camera angles that they show, and how they try to work out the margins and stuff like that. It were actually really technical. So I still think it's a bag of shit, but and
you understand it a bit more.
Yeah,
now.
but Chris Foy said the same thing. He said, if anything, it's took away a referee's game. It won't be long before we've got automated referees. He said, so I'm glad that I managed to actually, you know, make a name for myself before all that shit comes and came about.
But the thing is, though, it's like, and you could see that maybe with tennis as well. You know, that supposedly is the obvious one. And cricket, I suppose, to a point as well. The problem is we complained about the referees, and now we're complaining about what they brought in to replace the referees. I'm going to be controversial here. You know me, I like to be controversial every now and again. And I'm going to say...
from the fence.
Yes. I'm going to say, let's just fuck off with offside. Let's get rid of it. What is the point of offside?
Well, back in the day, it were quality that there were no offsides. It was just it were all right from what I've seen online. Like I say, people kicking lumps of shit out of each other. That's why people go and watch non-league football now, because there's still that old school feel to it. You know,
I mean, when you come to
dirty as shit. You stand so close walking past with your pant. Next minute you go to take a swig and there's a bit of grass in your pant because people are kicking lumps out of each other. I'm not saying that that's what we want. We want a massive brawl on a football pitch, but we want to see the fact that football was built on a contact sport, and these rules have just
I have to say, I do. I
halt
love
on the
VAR
enjoyment.
because we wouldn't have won the FA Cup without VAR. And had Ben Chilwell cut his toenails that morning, that
Yeah.
goal would have stood. But I just think, what is the point? Okay, so you've got a player that is goal hanging there, so you're going to have to keep a defender back. So it evens out.
Do you know the one argument I'd have is, though, Chris, that no matter what you do with football, players will always find a way to cheat the system, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a case of I'll roll around on the floor, even though I know that I've been tackled, at the opposition have won the ball, the referee said play on. But if the referee looks back and sees me holding my head, he's going to have to stop them from attacking.
Yeah.
If I was the referee, I'd be like, come on, I know full well he didn't touch your head. So why are you?
Yeah.
But they have to be seen to be doing the right thing. And this is what I mean. It's all these little things that they always find a way.
They do. So the offside rule was a widely debated topic, with fans wanting to see different things. Another frustration for supporters around delaying the flag, where officials are told to keep their flag down if they fail. There was an immediate if they feel there was an immediate goal scoring opportunity. I mean, it just gets so complicated now. Matt says, this is what the fans said. Matt says, scrap the offside flag going up 20 minutes after someone is offside, needlessly wasting time and play and could result in injuries. Very good. Sol said, I would change the offside rule where there has to be daylight between the last defender and the attacker. Excellent again. I think that's right. Charlie said, I would remove offside completely. Love you, Charlie. Hockey successfully removed offside many years ago, and I think it would be more goals and it's what the fans want to see. Chris said, I would like the offside rule changed so that you can only be offside beyond the 18-yard line, which is, again, I get
That's
that.
not a bad shout.
Yeah. Chris Foy said, assistant refereeing is an art form and they are encouraged to keep the flag down in clear attacking situations. I do understand that sometimes it can be frustrating. With semi-automated technology, I believe we have an accurate judgment of offside because, of course, they've got that new thing in. The next thing was stop the clock and reduce time wasting.
Now, this is something I fully agree with. Fully agree with. The amount of time the ball is spent out of play, or the amount of time fans are whinging because ball's going out of play just over the halfway line in their own half. But, I'll pick the ball up and walk a few yards before the referee says something. I'll walk back 2 paces, but I'm now on the line. However, to make the throw in, I'm going to run 5 paces before I've even thrown it into the... And that's all. That all happens in a big 30, 40 second bracket.
Yeah.
And, they say that a substitution is a minute at a time. But yet sometimes there's been 4 or 5 substitutions in a game and 2 minutes added on.
Or there's 2 or 3 substitutions all in one go.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting thing, let me ask you this. There was a game that Leicester was involved in. Might have been the Blackburn Rovers one, actually.
Good.
Sorry, Burnley fans. But not as sorry as we were at losing to them. But
Chris, it's the only game I've watched. Yeah, to be fair, I flicked Sky on the other week, and luckily Derby were beating them. So I was like, yes, finally. It hurt me having to watch those horrible inbreds beat you. And
not as much as it hurt us. But that game, I think it was that game, was 100 minutes long.
Yeah, it was.
Including the stopping. How much of that time do you think the ball was in play? As a percentage?
As a percentage,
4 minutes. I'll take either.
I was going to say around 62%, but I think it's probably lower than that. I think I've been quite generous.
You've been very generous. And the reason I said I would take either the minutes or the percentage is because it's exactly the same, 50. So you've paid 40 odd quid to go and watch a game where you've actually only seen half a game of football. So I think we should get the clubs to refund the fans. Oh, you only saw 50. Yeah, you'll give you 50% back. That'd soon stop it.
Yeah.
So what they've said here, and I agree, I totally agree with this. Goalkeepers holding the ball for more than 8 seconds are now punished with a corner. That doesn't always happen, though.
Well, hold on, there's rules to that as well. Because if you look at the who was it? Who was it the other day? I think it were in the Forest Leeds game. Someone were holding the ball or something, and they'd had it in their hands for about 15, 16 seconds. But apparently it's okay because there was players encroaching the box, which means that time does not start until officially those players are outside of the box.
I mean, it is. It is. If you're going to make a rule, make it a new rule. Make it simple so that it can be enforced.
Yeah, but when have they ever done anything simple, Chris?
Well, exactly. The average ball in play time this season is 55 minutes and 5 seconds.
That is shocking.
Yeah, 114 seconds down from last season.
Hold on, though, Chris. Add in VAR and the amount of time that takes, as well. That it's piss poor.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I mean, in that game, there's
what, you're going full Roy Walker then? It's good, but it's not right.
That was good. You're on form tonight, young man. But I'm pleased to say that game lasted 100 minutes. So we had 10 minutes worth of thing. But yeah, stop the clock. I agree, because although we got 10 minutes added on, it obviously wasn't enough because the ball was only in play for 50 minutes. Yeah. Stop the clock and, like you say, start again. And when these players go down holding the head, and I saw a match, and again, I can't remember what the match was, where the guy went down, he was hitting I think he might have even been hit on the leg, and he went down holding his head, and the referee had to make a decision, and he had to stop the game because it was a head injury. The opposition players were going, he's not got a head injury, and the referee was having a full-on argument with the opposition player, saying, "Look off, it's a head injury."
Remember that with Rivaldo? That were Rivaldo, where they've rolled the ball back to him for the corner, and he just dropped holding his foot.
Yeah.
Comical.
Anthony says, when infringements or injuries occur, stop the clock so they do in rugby. Then at the 90th minute, that's the end of the match. No more debate about why several minutes. I mean, yes, it's sensible, which means it will never get brought in. Change the game to 60 minutes, says Gary, but with a stop clock when the ball isn't in play, like basketball. The clock stops every time the ball goes out of play and the referee blows his whistle. Not just goes out of play for, like you say, for VAR, for substitutions, for people going down with, and doing a triple somersault and a pirouette.
Armchair says it there. Bring back retrospective fines and bans for fake head injuries. I'm sorry, but if you feign an injury to try and win a penalty, it's a dive. It's simulation. You're booked. Why aren't we doing the same shit for this? It's like, bringing the game into a negative state. What the fuck are you playing at? Bang, booked. Yeah. If you're going to whinge about it, off again.
Yeah. I've forgotten what I was going to say. So
I love you too.
That's what I was going to say based on Armchair's comment there. And again, I agree with you and I agree with him, is that they're recording the whole fucking match now.
Yeah.
And if they turn around and went, that guy dived, it's a yellow card. I tell you what, the managers will soon be pissed off when they start losing players because they've accumulated so many yellow cards. Faking a head injury, make it a red card, an automatic red card, and he misses the next game. The managers would soon sort it out then, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and I think go back to VAR as well. Why are we not using a system similar to cricket where you get one or two, decisions you can go, no, we want to,
Yeah.
we want to review that.
Well, Chris Foy said the time is always a big talking point in football. Something could be adopted to address this. For example, an independent timekeeper, as we have in other sports such as basketball. The referee calls time off, and when the play restarts, the referee calls time off and on when the play restarts. The fans can also see the clock counting down, which I'm sure will add to the excitement. Following on from that armchair point and what you were just saying, ban the cheats, punish dissent and simulation, and he said stimulation then. I'd say, well, I mean, let's be honest with you, if you've got a hard on and you're being checked for offside, you don't want that sticking out, do you? Christopher, what a lovely guy that I believe that guy is. Swearing at the ref or any abusive language, immediate red card and a 4-match ban. Ooh. Jeff said, any attempt to simulate, if we get it right, simulate a foul would be an instant yellow card, but given when a break in play and monitored by VAR. Any holding or pulling of clothing to be a yellow card. Dave, implement cards for any kind of simulation. Too many players conning the referee to get advantage. And David says, red card for... Why do they keep doing this? Red card for simulation. How long have the fans been asking for this? I've been asking for stimulation for many years. Chris Foy said, dissent is a problem at many levels of football, and when I was refereeing, it was no different. If open acts of dissent are detected, they should be dealt with. 2019 saw the introduction of sin bins at grassroots football, which is a great addition for dealing with open shows of dissent. Referees cannot do it alone, and everyone has a duty to protect the image of the game. Totally. I mean, I don't know if I get the sin bin because I was watching the rugby again over the weekend. I wasn't for the whole time I was on holiday. I wasn't watching sport, but when you go into many pubs in Lanzarote, sport is on, and it does help the beer go down. That's all I'm saying. I was drinking at the same time, and there seem to be sort of two different types of sin bin. It would have to be a set time. I don't think you can mess about with the time. What are your thoughts on sin bins?
I mean, I've seen it myself. I've watched my lad play football and stuff like that, and he's been sin binned. I've seen his teammates been sin binned, and it's not a bad thing. I think for them at their age, it's the perfect time to do something like that because it makes you think, right, go off the pitch, calm down, Okay, you might not agree with that decision or whatever, but calm down, get your head back into the game, focus, read the game, and learn from what you can see now from the sidelines. I think it gives them more of a perspective. In proper football, it's bullshit. What's the point? What's the point? If you're going to book them or send them off, do one or the other. Just get it done.
Sorry, I'm just trying to... I've only just really noticed then the difference in shade between me and you. I'm trying to get up close to the camera like that to get close. You're moving further away. Come back the other way.
Am I that way?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Yes, so a big difference.
I'm mirrored. I didn't think.
But yeah, I don't know. It would again. I think it would stop some things because the referee is going to mad if somebody's going to get sin binned. And then they concede a goal while they're down to 9 men.
Yeah.
What happens when it's the goalkeeper, though? Can you sin bin the keeper? And then you're having to get the other keeper warmed up to come on?
Because then that makes a substitution, that then, doesn't it, if you do it via the keeper route?
Change the handball rule. I mean, this is it. Bring back the old sensible ball to hand as accidental handball, says Mike. Common sense interpretation needed. Harry says hand to ball is a penalty. Ball to hand is not a penalty. That would stop players from aiming for hands in the penalty area. Handball is David says handball in the box by defender should be an indirect free kick. The ball accidentally hitting a hand does not warrant a penalty, which can change a game completely. Simon says scrap penalties for handballs in the box. It's denying goal scoring. Scrap penalties for handballs in the box unless it's denying a goal scoring opportunity. This seems to change every year. I mean, look, here's my shirt, and at one point, the ball hit me there. It's a penalty. The ball hit me there. It's not a penalty because that although it's part of the arm, it's where the shirt is. Now this one, as you can see, is quite a long shirt. I'll just come out with a long sleeve shirt on. And then I can't give. But if you look, and this is a real bugbear of mine, defenders now, when they're defending a free kick or anything or a shot, they do that with their hands. But then, not only that, they then turn on the side because it's a smaller, even though I'm a fat bastard, but it's a smaller thing to aim for. Had the Chelsea defender not turned on his side, Tielemans wouldn't have scored that goal and we wouldn't have won the FA Cup.
No, I look back to this season as well, the opening day. I think it was Everton Leeds, weren't it? James Tarkowski goes down to defend, sort of with his arms behind his back. But because he's going down at an angle, he has to pull his arms out to sort of support him. But the way the Premier League saw that, they gave a penalty because they saw it as he used his body to swing momentum. Well, I'm sorry, as a defender, your job is to defend. And it's not really hit his hand. It even hit sort of like around this sort of area. So I was a bit more stumped as to how that, and Leeds fans may go, no, fuck off, it was a penalty. But I still don't believe it was. And I think Everton were duped that day. But it's an ever-changing system. And I think that's another thing. We all knew referees would have got better by now if rules would have just stayed as normal as they are. But because they are changing year in, year out, even referees are confused. What's this? What's that? Why was that given as that last week? But this week, apparently, it's not because it's not seen as dangerous player. It's not seen as...
You and me, we've both been in the Championship, and a referee makes a mistake, and you will say, from where he was, from where the linesman was, maybe it looked like that.
Yeah.
And you accept it because it's human. But when they're getting it wrong, when they're looking at it from 26 different fucking angles, and they're still getting it wrong, what Chris Foy says, to prove if something was absolutely deliberate, you would have to ask a player if they meant to handle the ball. No, you don't, Chris Foy. And this is where, I'm sorry, you're talking a load of bollocks.
Yeah, because they're not going to suit their own narrative.
Yes.
They're not going to be honest.
What is
Last
needed?
time I saw somebody honest was Paolo Di Canio. Do you remember that when he picked the ball up?
Yeah.
Nobody else has done it since.
No. What you need, right, players that retire from Premier League clubs, a lot of them will go into the media in some way.
Yeah.
You've not got any of them thinking, I just become a plumber or a painter or whatever. Pretty much the same with the top half of the Championship. From there downwards, when players are leaving clubs, they haven't got anything to go for.
No.
So what you need, why not utilise them with VAR? Why not train them to become referees? All right.
I'll have an argument for that because.
Okay. Well, let me just finish first of all.
It's just because in regards to VAR, you can only do VAR if you are a fully qualified referee.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. Players would have to go through the refereeing course. However, Chris Foy himself mentioned that Matt Dean was asked to do VAR in terms of, will you be at Stockley Park and do all this? And he said, I can't do it. He actually sat down and he tried it and he said, I can't do this. He said, it's too much. I'd rather be in the midst of the action doing what I need to do. So there is referees that actually can't do the job.
Well, I'll come back to you then with that answer. Change the fucking rules.
Oh, yeah.
Are you saying that you can't do VAR unless you've been a professional referee, but then that professional referee has never played the game? So how does he know what is a natural place for the hand to be when somebody's jumping up? So it works to me both ways on that. just encourage those ex-players, and they probably don't want to become referees because of the stick they get, and I get that, but maybe with the VAR, they'll look at that and go, God, yeah, it did hit him on the hand. His hand was right up there, so that's a penalty. And he was jumping and his hand was right up there. But this other guy was jumping and his hand was like there because he was trying to sort of get height and what. They would know. The referees have no idea, Yeah, armchair, you would have to fast track them, but why not? We're fast tracking a lot of industries.
Yeah.
Next one, I think this is the final one. It is indeed. Bring in a challenge system on VAR. Oh my God, seriously? Now, Owen said with VAR, learn from cricket and only go to VAR on a request from the captain. 3 requests per game for each team. Barry, I would change the VAR only to be activated if the referee asks for a check. Well, the referees are not going to ask for a check because they're too fucking big-headed to think that they get anything wrong.
Well, that's what I mean. Unless you take the checks away and VAR does not intervene unless said club has asked for it.
Yeah.
And that could be whether it's for or against.
Yeah.
Now, you know what, you could have it so that it sort of penalises both clubs. So in a sense, Burnley get forward, whatever, such and such, Gabriel, the Arsenal centre-back, takes out someone. Burnley are like, no, it's a stonewall penalty. Unless the referee, obviously the referee will do his job. If he says it's a penalty, it's a penalty. If he says it's not, and Burnley believe it is, and it needs to be looked at, they'll say, look, we want it to be checked out of the 2 or 3 checks that we get. You might not use all 3, but then Arsenal could come back and go, well,
I think you would use all 3 and want another 3 and probably another 5 on top.
Well, no. But this is the thing. If you only have 3, you have to be very careful with what you look for. I think that also brings an added element to the game.
So who's making that decision about whether they want that to be looked at or not?
I think the captain needs to speak to the players in general, or however that situation's happened.
So hang on. So we do it again. So we're saying we stop the clocks while they have a discussion. I mean, in a 5-day cricket game, you've got the time to do that because you've got 5 days. And Ray said from America, please don't be more like the NFL. It would be. We'd be there for 3 days playing a game of footy.
Yeah, true.
That's the problem. I think somebody else here has said. Mike said, get rid of VAR completely. We had 120 years of the old system. We've asked, the thing was, that's fine. But then if we go back to just being the referees, are we going to get players, managers, oh, God, the fucking referees are rubbish. We're going back to the thing that we were complaining about.
There's bias because of their clubs and etc.
But as I say, we asked for this. I just think it's very, very, very easy. The problem we've tried to do for me with VAR, we've tried to fit VAR into the rules of football, and it doesn't fit. What we should be trying to do is making the rules of football fit VAR.
Yes, correct.
Make the rules simple. I can remember when I was at school, I was in a book club, and there was I'm trying to find a book that's like it. It's probably this one. And I was in this book club, and I bought the rules of football. Back in the day, that was thicker than the book with the rules of football, and it was an FA book. Now you've already got something like that as the rules of football. You know what I mean? So now Chris Foy said on this one, in relation to VAR and its protocol, the referee can initiate a review for a potential clear and obvious error or serious missed incident when the VAR or another match official recommends a review. Time limit on checks are difficult to implement, as in some situations checks have many moving pieces. No, it fucking shouldn't be. We're talking clear and obvious. If you've got to look at 26 angles, then it is not a clear and obvious mistake.
Correct.
Last subject before we go, and I've got one we can save for next week, and that's probably players ignoring the managers. We'll come on to that next week. But what I want to end on now, and I threw this as a sort of giveaway comment, and you actually came back at me with a very good and when it's about, and that's there's no Boxing Day fixtures.
Very, very frustrating.
Is it though? Is it?
I mean, it is and it isn't. I think when it becomes a staple of your life as a football fan, I think it breaks up that fact of, we've got something between all the midst of the madness. Something that we could. Football has always been a place where, for me, frustration at home. There could be frustration from work. I go to football. I can scream. I can shout. I can vent, and it can sometimes help. And obviously, like I say, when you're enrolled in that football environment, it sometimes also it cannot help it. But you go back home to your family, and things can work out. I'm not saying that it works out for everybody. Mental health rife now around the world. But yeah, I think it's just been a staple of football that one of these things is. Yeah, I mean, Chris, there's one thing I just wanted to say on your last point with VAR is what I said to Chris Fry, and he said this is a brilliant point, and he actually directed me to the guy from the Premier League and said, "This one's on you." So I said to him, "It's amazing how you keep getting all these." Oh, we've had 16 incidents already this season, blah, blah. I said, yeah, but that's 16 incidents that have cost teams this season. I said, also you can have a fancy new show to put out on Sky Sports. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I don't mean to be an arse. I said, but you are essentially killing off football. It feels like VAR has been brought in to suit a narrative, to fit in more screen time, so that it builds the profile of football because it's something to talk about. So yeah, I didn't half try and brand him with an iron poker a little bit, but yeah, to go back to what you originally said, the Boxing Day fixtures for me have just been a British staple that always seem to happen whether you're home or away. I used to quite like the Boxing Day fixtures.
Liam says there, what do you mean no football on Boxing Day? Because we should point out that this is for the Premier League.
Yes.
Because those of us in the minnows divisions, we've got... Well, now look, I agree. I mean, poor Premier League footballers, they can't have a nice, roast on Christmas Day because they've got to be in training. Oh dear, all that money, I'm sure it'll make up for it. What pisses me off is, and I'm just trying to get the fixtures up here for Premier League.
What about the average Joes that work in hospitality that don't even get a bank holiday, don't get nothing, that literally get Christmas Day off, and that's it. They're back in work again the day after. The hospitality and catering sector is one of in around the world is one of those where they literally get Christmas Day. That's your lot.
No, totally agree. Right, the only Premier League match is being played on Boxing Day. There's only one.
Is that the Newcastle game?
Manchester United against Newcastle. How the fuck are Newcastle going to get? I presume it's at Manchester United, and the poor Newcastle fans having to get back from Manchester United Boxing Day evening when there's a very, very little bus service, very, very little train service. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
If you're going to say, right, Manchester United or Newcastle, we're going to feature you on Boxing Day. Manchester United, you're going to play Manchester City on that day. Newcastle, you're going to play Sunderland on that day. Brilliant, because it's a fucking walk from for those. Yeah, that's what really annoys me. Oh, look, we've got another Twitch wanker.
Speaking of people that know you,
Yeah. Welcome along, Twitch wanker. I hope you. I'm impressed that you took long enough from and a break from playing with your dick to type that in. But there we go.
don't worry. He said the same to me to even be on camera.
You're playing with it whilst you're on camera. What do you mean? No, but you know what I'm saying.
I think when you look at it from that perspective, fans
fans
travelling up and down the country.
Yeah, if you're going to
I get it if clubs are putting it on though. If clubs are going to put on travel, you know, and say,
that's not going to do
it's boxing.
Yeah, it's not going to do sort of. Let's say Newcastle take 3,000 fans to Manchester United. Yeah. They're not going to put 3,000 coach seats on, are they?
No, I think obviously it'll depend on people will want to make their own way there, no matter how it is. But like you said, it's the arrangements of it, and if the arrangements are within time, these Christmas and Boxing Day fixtures were sorted out only the other week.
Mm.
You know, people like to at least have a couple of weeks or a month or two to sort out what's happening, and then all of a sudden they come out with all this crap. No, we're changing that to this. You know, it's stuff like that that really is annoying, and it upsets the narrative. Obviously, like I say, I'm an advocate of I love a Boxing Day game, home or away. I love it because I think as a fan, you will try and find a way to get there, whether it's jumping in a mate's car or you know someone who's going, so you can go with them, etc. Or there's space on a coach through the appropriate fan, travel clubs and stuff like that. But again, we don't we think it's hard work on the pitch. It's hard work off the pitch. And again, football needs to remember its roots. Without the fans, football is nothing.
But okay, let's say Burnley were chosen to play on Boxing Day.
What, down in Plymouth?
You're not in the same division yet.
Even if we come down, we won't be. They're going down again.
You walked into that one. But no, okay, so let's say you're picked to play your Boxing Day game. Would you want to play Newcastle or Sunderland? Or would you want to play Liverpool or one of the Manchester clubs?
Personally, I wouldn't be asked. Personally, I wouldn't be asked who I'm playing.
So what? So you've woken up Boxing Day morning, and you're saying, "Kids, I know it's Boxing Day, and you want me to play with you with your new toys that I bought you, but Daddy's got football to go to." Oh, good. Are you going to be long? You're going to. No, we're playing Manchester United, so I'll probably be back about 7.
Monday.
No, but that would be it. I'm going to watch Newcastle, kids. I'll be back sort of 3:00 in the morning. Oh, where's my bedtime story, Dad? Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to just listen to the radio. Do you see? No, I mean, I'm obviously, making, shit up and what have you. But you see what I mean?
Yeah, it breaks things up. I mean,
it's very easy.
I totally get it. And Ray said it there. It's all about harping it up on TV. Oh, the Boxing Day clash between Manchester United and Newcastle.
I get that totally, 100%, and I get that it's about the money. And on Boxing Day, Manchester United Newcastle would get more viewers, and no disrespect here, than, say, Wolves playing Brentford. It will because of the size of the clubs. But Manchester United, Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool would probably get more views on that day. They can easily change. I mean, look, the computer comes out with all these, and we know, why do we still do programs? And look at this is our opening game, and we're playing this on this day, and then it will they can move games for television. They can move games from being, a 3:00 kickoff until probably 10 p.m. on a Monday night. They can do that.
TV have the rights to do anything more than the police. That's what I'm trying to say. That the police don't really get a say because Sky say, "Well, no, we want the kickoff at 3."
Yeah.
Police are like,
what I'm saying is, if they can do that if they can do that for the TV, then they can change the fixtures to help the fans out.
Yeah. But they won't do that. They won't do that. Like I say, police will want Burnley Blackburn to be at a 12:30 kickoff, so that there's less arrests for drunk and disorderly and things like that, and all these situations. Yet TV will go, no, 3:00 prime time, 5:00 prime time. Everyone's, the atmosphere.
Everyone's been down the pub all day.
Yeah. And then it's like, what? So police are like, oh, so we've now got to sort this problem out because you decided you want your fat cat money talks.
Who was it recently? We were playing Tel Aviv or something, and the police said no away fans, and everybody, including what's that guy called that sits in number 10 and wanks? Oh, Keir Starmer, that's it.
Oh yeah,
and he came out and was saying, no.
Let's narrow it down, Chris, because there's been a few wankers in that building. So
well, let's be honest with you, probably 100% of people in that building have been wankers.
And they're more mismatched than my B&M fucking wallpaper.
I tell you what, Boris wouldn't have had his apartment, but with that, there's not enough gold in it. No, but you know what I'm saying? And he sat there going, wanting me a man of the people, going, well, we shouldn't, we've got to allow the opposition fans in. No, and I don't know how it went because I didn't follow it, but the police were worried about riots, and surely that overrules anything else. Do you remember they cancelled a game? They cancelled a game between, was it Manchester United and Liverpool because of protests about the Glaziers?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It can be done. And like I say, how hard is it to say, right, well, when Manchester United are playing on Boxing Day, we've got Newcastle, well, we'll just swap that with Manchester City and put the Newcastle game where the Manchester City game was. Oh! So what you're telling me is that it doesn't fit symmetrically, that, we've got to play the same order for the second half of the season as we do. I mean, it's just bollocks, isn't it?
Pre-season this year, we played Lazio at Turf Moor. And on the same day, Everton were playing Roma at their new stadium. We had to have a police presence basically outside of Burnley to try and stop any sort of Roma and Lazio meet up in England to then create some sort of unfortunate football story.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's silly. Fans should be able to walk out at the end of the game and go, I did it. I've done it a few times against Lower. When we got knocked out of the cup against Lincoln, before I even walked out, I was fuming and pissed off, right? But fair enough, they went on a cup run. But I went over and I shook the fan, the fan's hand, and I said, "Go and write your name. Go and do something. Go on this magical run. You deserve that because we were."
Oh, so you were encouraging graffiti, were you?
No.
I know what you mean. Carry on.
But yeah, but you want that. You want that sort of camaraderie. You want to, the cricket club at the Turf, home fans and away fans together chatting. You are going to get the odd idiot. I'm sorry, but that's just football. And there's always one that slips through the net. Luckily, I've still been allowed in at Turf Moor. But it's, it's
surprised me for many years.
Yeah, well, there is worse than me, trust me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, again, though, why is it just for the Premier League? And why is it not for everybody else? Why not make it? I know what you're saying about it being tradition and what have you,
Yeah, I think for me, that's what it is. It's like I've grown up around that. But if it was a case of that there was the odd game wasn't on Boxing Day or,
traditionally, I had sex 4 days a week. Not so much now. But things change.
Boxing Day was your day off.
No, Boxing Day I had something else because it was Christmas. And it wasn't just the turkey that was gobbling. Anyway, you bring the worst out in me, young Daniel.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Yeah. I inherited this shit from my online father.
But look, I know what you're saying, it's tradition. I get that. But is there a time when we've got to say, look, traditionally we've got to move on? because instead of it being Boxing Day,
Football has.
well, it has, hasn't it? Yeah. Traditional stadiums have gone. Traditionally, we used to just everybody used to stand up. Traditionally, we had a lot of tragedies at football because of different things. We do move on. Football does move on. Rules change, grounds change. Everything. Why don't we just say, well, instead of it being Boxing Day, let's have it on the 27th of December, because transport would be a little bit better. It's only
Yeah.
one day afterwards. They always used to say, didn't they? Like, oh, we can't open shops on Sunday. You've got 6 days if you want to go shopping. Why would you want to go shopping on Sunday when you've got a nice, warm, welcoming, hard wooden pew down your local church to sing miserable fucking songs for 2 hours, and the only joy being a little swig of sherry. I mean,
Or Ribena if they're a tart arse.
yes. But no, I mean, to me, so, but that obviously now you're surprised if a shop isn't open on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everybody's always looking at the next pocket fill, the next thing that they can do to enhance business. I think that's exactly what the Premier League are doing. They're always chasing the pound signs, and I think they'll forever do that no matter what division. I think it wouldn't surprise me if eventually it does filter down to the EFL, and I don't mean money should, but it doesn't. But I think there's certain things from the Premier League that long term may filter down, and it will affect football. I know you'll be the same as me, Chris. And people in the chat will be the same as well. There'll be a selection of people you either used to go to games to, sat around you, or you speak to in the pub or in day to day. You've said hello to, and you say, "Oh, have you been watching the football?" And they go, "Nah, I'm not fussed for it anymore." To quote El Sean Dicchio, the foreign manager, not the Burnley one that we had. His game's gone to some people, and they don't like the way the world has gone these days.
I think it's a lot of the older generation that are saying, because I see that in the chat and what have you. Oh, football's not. I mean, I absolutely love watching ITV4 for the big match revisited. And I see some of those players, and obviously I'm going to mention a Leicester one because that's the way I go, with Keith Weller. It probably should have been capped a lot more by England. Had he not been playing for Leicester, he probably would have done. The things he did on that pitch, well, I say pitch, let me rephrase that. The things he did on that mud bath was absolutely unbelievable. It was a contact sport. People did fouls, and the referee says, "Get up and get on with it." And I love that. And I can turn around and say football's boring compared to that now, and I blame Pep for that.
I think Pep's definitely got a huge part to play, but I also think people like the FA, FIFA, UEFA, they might all have their own perceptions of how they do things, but they all essentially piss in the same pot in terms of they're trying to let's change this to see if it'll go
the same plant pot.
Well, yes. I got rid of that a long time ago.
Probably killed it off.
But
Dan's coming round, everybody. Put the plants away.
Hey, Dan, toilets are over there just in case. Can I take your coat? Or,
because you've been in a prison now, you probably do have a little toilet in the corner, don't you?
Well, I am still sat on the cushion. So I'm going to have to cut an hole in it so I can just keep the arsehole cushion. But no, it's like I say, football is... you know what? This has been an eye-opener. And this is why we sit here and do this, Chris, isn't it? Because sometimes we can talk about a topic and it's like, I'm sat here now, I'm going to come off this and think, you know what? No, there's certain elements to what people have said in the chat, to what we've said tonight, that I'm going to be like, there is more to life than football. But to those people that work in football, there's not. All they see is let's try and give football fans that are dedicated, and I'm not saying we aren't dedicated, otherwise we won't be here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they need to think about the fans, because without fans, football is nothing. It's nothing. They should have, if they didn't make the games free to view during the pandemic, I'm sorry, but they wouldn't have had people tuning in.
Yeah. No, totally.
The fact they made it free to view is what kept them having a bit of a turnover.
We will also discuss that next week. We will talk about Netflix type channel for the EPL.
Yes. Why not?
So next week, guys, tune in because I've got 3 subjects here. Knowing us, that would probably last us 5 hours. And we'll talk about if there was a streaming, because obviously we all know that some people don't watch football in the right way, shall we say. That I think if there was a proper like a Netflix type channel, I think people would probably subscribe to that. I would do. We've got players ignoring managers, and who can forget Kappa, whatever he was called for Chelsea.
The keeper, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll also, I think, discuss should the Championship become the Premier League too.
Oh, that's opening a new can.
It is, isn't it? It is indeed. So, those are the 3 topics I've got at the moment. It may well change between now and then because we try not to talk about, and I know, look, I'm a Leicester fan, Dan's a Burnley fan, Dan the Burnley fan, as I call him. And those are our 2 clubs, and we love our 2 clubs, and we do a lot of shows that are dedicated to both clubs. But we do like to have a break sometimes and just talk about other things that are in football. We've got
to put the world to rights and stuff like that, though, Chris, because people will want to know our views. There's been certain things I've said there that, for me, Boxing Day has been like a staple as a growing up. But then, yet again, you're like, you've counteracted that argument with, well, travel around is nowhere to be seen. If not, it's double, sometimes triple. No one's going to be getting a taxi to Manchester at 3 times a pissing price. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So that's what I like about this. We've got vast opinions, and again, you guys in the chat are brilliant for that as well. Because you guys don't shy away from it. This is what we are. We are all fans, no matter the club. We are still all fans, and we all want to see football go in the right way for us. We do. And look, it's nice to have different opinions on football and just not fall out. Yeah. Like our hair. Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest with you, mate. Football is all about opinions. Sure is. And we don't always get it right, but it's our opinion. It's just about not forcing it on other people. But then again,
your opinion is wrong.
On that note, do subscribe to both channels. Look, if you are a Leicester fan, get over and check out at turfmoorhouse TV. Subscribe, because at the end of the day, we do other things as well, as you've seen here, apart from just our own team's talk. And if you're a Burnley fan, look, you owe me. I lived in Burnley for 25 years. At least that deserves a subscribe, doesn't it? People have got less for murder. But no, if you're a Burnley fan, come and subscribe to OTID TV and vice versa. Whichever channel you're watching via, smash that like button. Do it now. Dan, as always, sir, it's been a pleasure to stay up late with you. And a privilege, Chris. I appreciate you having me on to do this show with you. Like I say, it's an enjoyable experience, putting the world to rights, and the fact that we both live in 2 separate places, we click. It's If there was a bar here, we'd sit there through the night and drink it dry. Wouldn't we just? Indeed. Mate, I appreciate it. You take care. Give my very, very best to Kate and the children as well.
Your best is better than mine. I'll try my best.
To be honest with you, I wasn't any doubt about that because she's always said to me mine was better. Yeah. Give her my best. Give her my best.
I will
And
do.
to the kids as well. Next
Will
week,
do.
we'll be back here Tuesday, either at 9 or 10, depending whether Dan can be asked to go and play football or not.
Looking at my waistline, you'd think, nah, mate, pick up the darts.
Right, cheers to you as well. Like, subscribe, share, do all that shit. And we'll be back. Well, I'll be back. Have you got anything coming up? Apart from the obvious.
I think I'm just going to do a bit of a chinwag with some Burnley fans this weekend, or this, in the next couple of days. Just chat all things of how they feel this half of the season of 2025 so far has gone. Other than that, the week after, probably match previews and potential watch along of the Burnley Chelsea game, just because I like to put myself through more misery.
We've got Stoke, and I've got to say, of course, it is the excitement of a international week.
Are you at Stoke as well?
Sorry?
Are you at Stoke as well?
Yes, I believe we are.
So that's going to be the first test for Marty. Can he do it on a night in Stoke?
It is indeed. Mate, thanks very much. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Take care. Don't forget, also listen to the podcast if that is how you choose. Why you'd want to listen when you can see these two beautiful hunks, I don't know. Whatever. Thanks very much, mate. Take care. And we'll see you all soon.
Take care.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.